Pod.
Rugby Pod.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of season 10 of the Rugby Pod. And we've got a massive guest coming up this week. He's quick, he's beautiful, he's Welsh, and he's back from the NFL. Dan Bigger's mate, Lewis Rees-Zammit, is going to join us. What else we got, lads?
The prodigy. Well, I'll take this one, Biggs. I'll start this next bit because there was a bit of scrapping as well at the weekend from Lewis Rees-Zammit, and I felt it could have gone deeper. But that would have been going back into the archives of what rugby used to be for men. But anyway, he was scoring worldies, and yeah, there was a bit of sin bin action as well for him. But it was a hectic first week back for Lewis Rees-Zammit. We can't wait to have him on the show.
It was actually like watching a little bit of a young Jim Hamilton, wasn't it, at the Majesty Stadium all those years ago.
Thank you very much. Hey, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that bit.
Did Zam get filled in like Jim did?
No, Zam scoring tries from the halfway line.
We will ask Zam if he's happy being compared to a young Jim Hamilton as well. So we'll see what his response is to that. Red Roses are through to another Rugby World Cup final, this time in front of a sold-out Allianz Stadium on Saturday afternoon, which will be great.
Scotland were robbed, so I don't want to go too much into that. We were robbed in the quarterfinals. But yeah, we'll give a nod to our sisters on the other side as well.
We'll also be analysing all the wheeling and dealing that's been going on across the URC and the Prem as the season kicks off this week, lads.
Yeah, yes, we will, Gavner. So settle back, you know the drill by now. Enjoy and make sure you're subscribed on the channel that has been so good to us and delivering to you, Spotify. Lads, quiet weekend for me. Thanks for asking. Andrew, you at the zoo this week or what?
No, mate, I played a load of golf last week, couple of golf days down at the Grove after the high of playing in the BMW Pro-Am the other week. So just golf mad at the minute, but trying to avoid the kids because the attitude I'm getting from my girls is pretty tough. But yeah, load of golf. And then the Ruggers are starting this weekend. So I've just been head down, pal, with the family.
Well, I need to pull one of these weapons out because you've got golf clubs. I don't play golf. Biggs has been playing tennis with Tim Henman, and I don't think I've ever even held a racket. Biggs, talk to us about this tennis thing. Are your knees not absolutely hanging?
No, well, to be fair, I got offered. I got to give him a shout out, Mark Loosemore, who I know from Wales, who was a member at Wimbledon, and he said the hardest or the easiest way to become a member at Wimbledon is to win the tournament. So basically, at the minute, you've got to beat Alcaraz and Sinner to become a member there, which sounds quite difficult. So when he offered me the chance of coming up and playing on the grass in Wimbledon before it finishes, I thought that was too good an opportunity to pass up. So as we were going through, we went into the sort of the members' locker room and saw, Federer's locker and Djokovic's locker and things like that. Walked out of we're just about to go for sort of a bit of brunch before playing, and Tim Henman walked past. And sort of he joined us for brunch. So my claim to fame is buying Tim Henman a coffee in Wimbledon.
Hold on, you didn't. Hold on, Biggs. You're Welsh, mate. You don't pay for anything. There's no way.
Do you know what though, Goode? The one thing I'll say is anyone who, if you're with a member there, it cost me like 28 quid for 3 brunches and a few coffees and things like that, which I thought in Wimbledon
cheap as chips.
It was a winning investment type of thing for me. So it was. I have to say, it was a spectacular day. Really, really special. So I was very, very grateful. So give Mark Loosemore a bit of a shout out for taking me up and looking after us.
Nice. Tim Edmund's a big fan of the show, isn't he? He's a big Rugby Pod fan as well.
Yeah, huge. He's looking to invest, I think, in rugby, in the Rugby Pod in particular. So that could be a conversation.
And did you actually play? Tennis, Biggs?
I play a little bit, yeah. So paddle's huge over in France at the minute.
I thought your back was fucked. I thought you retired because your back was fucked. I mean,
no. For tennis, it's all right. For having 20 stone back rows run at me, I may be struggling. But for paddle, play a lot of paddle here. It's probably bigger than tennis actually. Yeah. So, but it is actually it's unbelievable the difference between playing actually on grass to like a normal court sort of thing. The ball stays low, and look at me, I'm getting technical here now.
Hang on, you've lost Rob and you've lost me because they're both posh sports. You're saying 28 quid for a sandwich is reasonable. Rob's looking, shaking his head, being like, "What are you talking about? You buy dinner for a week from Lidl or Iceland." So,
what about you, Jim? What'd you get up to?
Nothing. Quiet, lads. It's getting busy now. So just a bit of training, posting a bit of content out there on the watt bike. Just needed a bit of love at the weekend. No,
that's why the watt bike's in show now, yeah.
Yeah, I know. The house is nearly built, lads. It's going in the gym. So I can't wait for that. No, it's getting busy now, isn't it? Because the season's starting. And as we know, the seasons can be long. They can be very enjoyable. Bit of travel coming up. So I just wanted to enjoy the last weekend of, I'm not going to say peace, of rugby peace.
Well, the Prem kicks off on Thursday this week, doesn't it? Bit of a change to the regular programming with domestic rugby. We've got Thursday, Friday and Sunday because there's a World Cup final on Saturday, isn't there, lads?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And we need to give our sisters, they're not my sisters because I'm Scottish. My sisters got robbed in the quarterfinal. As we know, the Red Roses have taken over rugby throughout the summer. And I have to be honest with you, lads. I know I'm a quarter English. That's the arrogance in me. I am the Canadian amateur savages till I die. They have won my heart over watching the way that they've played at the weekend. So even though our sisters, Ellie Kilden and Jess Breach, are doing their thing on Rugby Rodeo and they're part of our ecosystem, I'm Canadian. Bonjour, ça va? They're French in Canada.
How are
they?
you Canadian, James? Mate, you're 3/4 English.
No, I'm a quarter English.
Okay.
I'm kind of thinking anybody who's got a second row kicking goals, the Goode for Canada. I'm thinking like that can win your heart. Can you? It's a bit like John Eales back in the day, isn't it? Sort of thing. Kicking goals in the Bledisloe. She's kicking goals in the World Cup.
Well, you mentioned the Goode Biggs. Dad and Mum both played for Canada.
Talented family.
I did a bit of research. I was like, John Eales is kicking at goal. I should have kicked at goal. I'm like, who's this? The Goode's kicking at goal.
Mate, imagine you with your left foot.
I know. But look, their story's unbelievable. And like you go into a final at the weekend, England fully professional. Let's be honest, it's been fairly easy for them. Like they've been tested in a few of the games. But there's a Fijian feel to this Canada team because of what they've had to go through to get to the World Cup. I think did you reference it there, Biggs? They've had to crowdfund or something ridiculous to get here. And they're playing against England at home. England at home at Allianz, fully professional, mad favourites, big favourites. And I imagine there's the Fiji element to this Canadian team. Like if your team's out, you support Fiji in the men's game. It seems like if your team's out in the Women's World Cup, you're going to support Canada.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the fact that England are unbeaten in 33 games as well, I think anyone that's not English in the whole world wants Canada to win this. So come on the Red Roses.
Right, lads. Summer signings. We've seen the first round of the Prem Cup. Feels like there's been some big signings in the Premier this year, and we might speak to one of them later as well. But who's done the best bit of business, do you think, in the off-season?
I'd say Exeter have done some serious business, I think, in getting Ikitau and Hooper to outstanding Australians. Ikitau, we talked about him over the Lions series, didn't we? How good he was and how impressive he was. So I think you look at it, and obviously if this is like a bit of a Premiership preview kind of piece, I've gone through all the squads and all the teams and where they finished last year and looked at it all because I love my ruggers. And you can stand there and say Bath are big favourites with the squad they've got. The fact they won it last year and they won the Prem Cup and they won the Mickey Mouse Challenge Cup as well. But they have now got 3 medals and 3 trophies, call it what you will, in the bag. And there's now an expectation there. And they've added to their squad with Carreras, who will play fullback as well as be a kind of backup to Finn Russell. Because last year, the worry for Bath was if Finn got injured, how good was Orlando Bailey or anyone else that was going to step into that 10 jersey? And in Carreras, we've seen in the Rugby Championship, is a proven test match animal and a world-class player. So I think Bath are mega favourites. And then you look at what happened last year, the Red Bulls, aka the Falcons last year, Newcastle Red Bulls last year were bottom of the log and comfortably bottom. They've obviously made a couple of signings that have improved them in Christian Wade and Liam Williams, but they forget that it's minus 15 up there, snowy and windy. They ain't probably touching the ball. But I think they're going to struggle still. And anyone else can beat anyone else because it's going to be so tight, which when you look through the squads and you look through the signings. I suppose the big news this year is around, do you remember last year we were chatting about the Prem a little bit at the start and the year before, and it felt like a lot of players were leaving the Premiership and going to play in France, and your Jack Willises and these sort of guys were going abroad. And now it feels like a lot of bigger names, Ikitau, Farrell, Hooper, you've got Carreras on the move. I know he's always been in the Prem. James O'Connor, back in the Australian fold, big name. Henry Arundel's come back. There's some bigger names that have come back to the Prem, and it feels very positive around this season and how the Prem is looking for me in terms of the players coming in as opposed to the players going out. What are your thoughts on that, lads?
Yep, summed up perfectly, I'd say, Goode. It feels like there's a real positive, vibe about the Prem coming back, isn't it? Starting a couple of weeks later this year, in end of September, which allows the Lions players to have a bit more holiday, which allows them to maybe come back a little bit more refreshed and not miss as many weeks of the Prem. Tons of sort of world-class big names as well. Not just world-class players, but big names. You mentioned a few of them there: Farrell, Ikitau, Carreras, Hooper, Arundel. These guys just putting bums on seats. And ultimately, that's what the Premiership or the Prem, that's what the Prem needs at the minute. But I think I'm inclined to sort of agree with you a little bit. I think that Exeter, if you look at where they can make the most gains, what teams can make the most gains, and you look at the pack of people between sort of Bath finishing way above and that 8th place, and you probably think Exeter have got the most to improve in terms of they brought in Hooper from the Brumbies, from the Wallabies, Dweba from the Stormers, really good sort of player, been around the block a little bit. Stephen Varney from Van, really good player, needed a 9, didn't they, in terms of that. Ikitau, just everyone saw how good he was in the summer and has been. So I think if you look at if the question is who's done the best business, I think you'd be hard pushed to find a better bit of business than what the Chiefs have done with the amount they've got to gain. Maybe pushed by Saints. I think Saints have done some good business this year. I think you look at who they've brought in JJ Van der Mesch in terms of from Stade Francais, huge human being, which is what sometimes Saints have been accused of, missing a little bit of grunt and a bit of size up front.
He's a mega unit as well, isn't he? He's a monster.
Yeah, mega. I'm not sure how many times he's getting lifted in the line-out, but he is a mega unit. So you think he's come in, you think they've signed Fischetti, who's been, a really good sort of prop and winning lots of penalties at scrum time, and he's been a great signing. And the other one I think they've done really well with, and again, something you could level them a little bit, behind Finn Smith last year, they had effectively nobody, did they? If Finn Smith was out injured, they had to bring Hutchinson in, or Tom James had to play 10 at some point. Whereas this year, they've brought in from Clermont, Anthony Bellew, who is a really sort of seasoned campaigner, played a lot of games for Toulon, a lot of games for Clermont, and is a trusted pair of hands. And you spend 6 months with Sam Vesti from June to 4 months, whatever it is, and he's only going to become a better player. So I think Saints have done some really good business. Yes, losing Augustus is a big blow, but Callum Cheek as well from the Falcons or from the Red Bulls just seem to have done some really smart business. Not the headline signings of your Arundels, your Farrells, your these guys, but some really smart signings in terms of what it looks like for that squad.
It'd be interesting to see how Sale get on. I think they're under a bit of pressure.
I think they'll be good, mate.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, with their signings that they've signed, so under the radar, Nathan Jabulu from Harlequins is a wicked player.
Yeah, mate. I went to watch them train in Portugal when I was on holiday because they were at the campus in Quinta do Lago, and I was looking at him, and I was like, "Is that Nathan Jabulu?" And I spoke to one of the S&C guys who goes, "Yeah." He'll be phenomenal this year. Like, absolutely phenomenal. He looks like he's such a unit. It's a great... And apparently, Quins refused to play him last year because he'd already signed for Sale, which I found amazing. But I think he'll flourish at Sale, and he'll be a brilliant signing, along with the four that have got Luke Cowan-Dickey as well. So they've got two unbelievable hookers there. I
was just about to say, Goode, has there ever been a more Sale Sharksy signing than Jack Vermeulen in terms of just getting through a ton of work, ton of grit? Imagine him in the back row with your Curries and things like that. Just hard as nails.
Yeah.
Well, you can't underestimate with Sale losing the Dupree brothers and the amount of work that they got through and physicality, and losing Johnny Hill as well. I know he was a little bit up and down with some of the performances, but he was a big rig as well, weren't he? So Jacques Vermeulen, who I've always been a massive fan of, is a mega signing for them as well. And then they've signed Marius Lowe. They're all South African because that's what you go to. But so Sale, I think, are under a bit of pressure to go to another level. They've been there or thereabouts. I think I saw Steve Diamond talking about it, that they've been kind of flirting over the last couple of seasons. For Sale, you look at how they performed at the end of the season, it was down to George Ford and his ability to bring their players in and the game management and having Rob de Preer outside him of at 12. That balance they had was really, really good. So they need to try and keep him fit. But I've always liked Sale anyway. Alex Sanderson, one of my favourite coaches.
How good is the Prem? We haven't sort of probably haven't touched on it, but like again, we said about loads of big names leaving over the last few years. But you look who's going to be playing 10 in the Prem this year, and there's a big selection of names. Look, Ross Byrne, Owen Farrell, Marcus Smith, Finn Smith, George Ford, James O'Connor, Bellew potentially, Finn Russell,
Tom Jordan as well potentially at Bristol's.
So you look at the big names and like world class players in there, isn't there? Big names, been there, done it, and it feels like the Premiership is in a pretty good place certainly from a 10 point of view, and not many teams are going to have McGinty as well, who's been brilliant the last couple of years. So you look at, there's not many teams where you think, right, well, 10 is a weakness for those teams in that sense. So I think it's only positive for the Prem and for rugby in general.
Yeah, and I purposely left Owen Farrell because I was going to talk about Saracens with some of their signings in. Max Malin's coming back from Bristol. He was at Saracens before, been out injured for a long time. But you cannot underestimate the size of Owen Farrell and a character like that and the quality of player coming through. And you think about what happened last year. We've gone through it. We don't need to go through it again. And we spoke about him for the British and Irish Lions tour, gets called up, comes on, makes a massive difference to the squad. But, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, I've been doing some work at Saracens as well. Mate, he is laser focused to make something happen. Like he always is, right? It's easy to say, he's laser focused. I'm sure he was when he went to Racing. Laser focused in, I think he wants to make amends for what's happened over the last year. I reckon there's something inside him that wants to show everyone just how good he is. Whether that's at 10 or 12, they've got Fergus Burke at 10, who's now capped by Scotland. And this will be the big debate, right? Will Faz play 10? Will he play 12? Does it really matter?
I've heard he's playing 12, or they're going to look at him definitely to start off with as a 12 and back in Fergus Burke. And you only got to look back at the Prem last year. And yes, they didn't have Owen Farrell and they were missing some guys throughout the season. Saris weren't that far off the top 4. It came down to that game at Northampton, didn't it? When Jim said it was a forward pass and it wasn't from
Luke Pearce said it was a forward pass himself. He said it himself.
So Saris will be in the mix, right? And Owen Farrell will have a big impact on that. And ultimately, it's great to see him back in the Prem. It didn't work for him in France for one reason or another. He had a load of injuries. He wasn't in the environment that he was used to. But coming back to Saracens, he'll be back in that environment. And, I think he wants to try and, really put his foot down and get back in the England squad and also have a big finish to his career at Saracens with, getting back to the glory days when they won loads of trophies.
It's so much easier if you're an Owen Farrell type character to have an influence on a squad day in, day out, as opposed to coming in for a couple of weeks or a short period of time. You can set standards day in, day out, every session, every video meeting, every gym session, whatever it is. And people can see you doing things a lot more in that environment. And I think you can have a voice a lot more rather than just coming in and out of an environment like the Lions, like England, for argument's sake. So I just think he's going to have an even bigger say on the squad in a club environment than perhaps from an international side of things.
Yeah, and just to finish this on Saracens, and we can maybe talk about Leicester as well, because I think they've done pretty well on the signing front as well under new coaches. But you think about Saracens, they've got the Lions captain in Maro Itoje. You've got Tom Willis, who was standout last season and standout for England and could arguably be England's number 8. You've got Ben Earl, you've got Nick Ezekwe, you've got Theo Dan, you've got Jamie George, you've got Marco Riccioni. So you actually think about if they can get everyone fit, which I know they struggled with injuries with a lot of the players last year, and Elliot Daly comes back firing and the qualities that he showed over the last 6 months as well, mate, they're a proper team.
Lazowski as well.
Lazowski, of course, as well, but coming back from injury, yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing, really. The experience of the forward pack, they're missing a little bit of physicality in the back line, but when you list off those names and the credentials of the players and what they've achieved, what they've won at Saracens, and just having Faz back in the mix, I think that they are definitely a team that are going to be in the top 4.
Your old team, do you think there's been not a criticism by any stretch, but do you think there's been maybe there's been a lot of turnover and big personalities and big characters? Do you think it's a bit of a transition year?
What, for Worcester? For Worcester, they're back. They play the first game. Big shout out to Worcester.
Worcester are back, lads. No, for Leicester, let's talk about Leicester actually, because it's really interesting. There's been some changes at the club. You know, ultimately, there's a lot of experience from the playing front just walked out the door. And when you say that, you say Ben Young's retired at the end of the year. Dan Cole retired at the end of the year. And yes, Dan Cole has gone off and he's come back in and he's now part of the coaching group. But from a playing perspective, you've lost Dan Cole, you've lost Ben Youngs, you've lost Montoya, who was unbelievable for them, I thought. Week in, week out, putting his body on the line, leading the troops. You've lost Andre Pollard, World Cup winner. And some might say that, Andre didn't have his best few years because he's playing so much rugby and he's here, there and everywhere with South Africa and then back and all that stuff. But when he was on form, he was tip-top. You've lost, in that group there, 4 hugely experienced players. You've also lost Richard Wilkes, who was in charge of the contracts. So Coley's doing contracts. He's not coaching, isn't he? He's doing contracts. So go and knock on Coley's door and say, mate, stick my numbers up a bit. And he won't have a problem doing that. But I think at Leicester, there's a bit of a transition. Jeff Parling has come in. And Jim, you'll know Jeff Parling as a player, having played against him a lot, hugely respected in terms of moving into coaching. Do you remember when Jeff Parling tried to put a grubber kick through playing for the Melbourne Rebels and they just pissed themselves on commentary? That's my lasting memory of Jeff Parling playing rugby over in Australia. And then he's gone on to have an excellent coaching career, be part of the Australian setup and now be back at Leicester, I think is great for the club. But again, it's another change. Czech has moved on. There's changes everywhere. There's a lot of experience gone out the door. And you're always hopeful, right, of being an ex-Leicester player that you want Leicester to do well. It's the biggest club in the land in terms of supporters and everything that goes with that. And there's an expectation. But I just think this year is going to be a struggle for them. Not in terms of down the leagues, but when you're looking at top 4 and which teams have got momentum, there seems to be a lot of momentum that's gone out the building. And yes, you've got James O'Connor coming in and a few other good signings. Jamie Blamire replacing Montoya. And you've got Radwan and Ollie Hassel-Collins on the wings still there and they're going to score tries. But I just think when you lose all that experience and leadership and, Checker had a massive impact, it might be, a tough season. Whereas last year they won a few close games early on to get some momentum. This year, they go away to Bristol in round 1. And it could be, I'm not going to say it's going to be a complete struggle, but to make the top 4 might be a struggle. But this is the beauty of the Premiership. A lot of teams can compete apart from Newcastle, Red Bulls. The other 9, anyone can beat anyone.
What we've just said about Owen Farrell, driving standards and being focused and things like that, Leicester are losing a lot of that from the coaching side and playing side. So I think transition is not the word to use, but I think, you've summed it up quite nicely there, Goode. It seems to be a lot of big players leaving that club as opposed to sort of replacing them with an Owen Farrell or a Carreras or these type of guys, yeah.
Yeah, them players as well are robust as well. So them players that you've just named for Leicester, and you have to be in the Prem, right? The changeover of different tournaments like internationals, like Julian Montoya was as robust as they came. Ben Youngs as well, like Dan Cole would grind out performances and you know what you get in. And that's always the issue when you're signing. If you're signing really good athletes, right? Fast, powerful, dynamic, with that comes, you get the injuries that come with finely tuned athletes, right? And it's almost like with a Leicester and them old school teams, like a Lewis Ludlow, friend of the show, for example, at Gloucester, he's churning out performances, 7 out of 10 every single week. And that's going to be the issue for Leicester. James O'Connor's been there for a week and now he's gone back to
Mate, he was there for about
Australia.
2 days. He was there for about 2 days,
well, that's what I know. And that's, again, it's a negative about the moment that we're in now. And it's great that Leicester have let him go because, to be honest, Leicester have got every right to say, no, you're staying. I'm hearing Will Skelton's going back as well. And it's great that the coaches like your mate Raj and whatever, and Jeff understands the value of them going to play international rugby, but it's a big risk, right? Because you look at the injuries that happen, like they're about to play in the Bledisloe Cup, it's going to be absolute mayhem. You could lose James O'Connor for 6 months. Like, we don't want that to happen, but it's when you're playing that high level rugby and you include the travel in which he's come back for 2 days, he's gone back there, So fair play for the club for doing that, but it's risky. But that's what you're playing with when you're picking players from the Southern Hemisphere.
I think this time last year, I actually said that Michael Cheika was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, signings for the Premiership last year for Leicester, and he had a massive impact. I think the loss of Michael Cheika, and Jeff Parlin knows the club and he'll come in and he'll do a great job. But I just think the experience of a Michael Cheika, when you add in all those other factors, may cost Leicester. But over time, it will come good. It's just such a hard league to predict this year, isn't it? Apart from Bath and how they're under the salary cap, I don't know. But they got a hell of a squad. Anyone else, you could make a case, apart from the Newcastle Red Bulls, that they could win it.
Another massive signing, Rugby FC. They've signed us.
They have, lads, and they won at the weekend as well. So well done to all the Rugby Lions boys. We are the official sponsors of rugby. Well, technically that's Camden Town Brewery. They're the official sponsors of rugby. But we're partnering with them for a live show at the first home game of the season and making some content, some behind-the-scenes footage, some match day footage. Big Jim and a very special guest are going to go in the changing rooms, see some bushes, but also give some arousing speeches. So technically, we are the sponsors of rugby.
We've partnered with Rugby FC to help them turn around the club and help reinvigorate grassroots rugby, because we're just men of the people. You know, that is what we do. And I'm effectively the CEO, you're the CFO, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and you're Jeremy Clarkson. Goode, you know the drill with that. So.
Yeah, join us. We'll be at Rugby FC, also known as Rugby Lions, in association with Camden Town Brewery on the 4th of October for a live show with the Lions legend. Now here's a man that's going into the changing rooms and giving a speech.
Have you seen the dragon? Have you seen the fucking dragon?
There you go. Big Scotty Quinnell is going to join us. And you can come with us and watch us and listen to the speeches from Scotty Quinnell for only a £5. And for that £5, not only do you get entry to listen to the gibberish that me and Jim are going to speak and be inspired by Scott Quinnell, but you get a free pint of Camden Hell's lager as well. So we've also, the big news is we've got a former England international. This is how far we go, James.
No, I made this call as CEO, just to let you know. You're delivering the news.
Yeah.
You're like the spokesman. You're head of communications, but I made this call as CEO. But go on, I'll let you deliver it.
I played golf with him the other day and I sealed the deal, got him to sign the contract, and he's doing it for 2 Camden Hells. That's it. But we have got a former England international who's going to be playing for Rugby Lions FC on the 4th of October as well. So exciting news. An ex-England international is going to be playing for Lions. We're going to batter.
And it's not Jason Leonard.
It's
Can we
not
just
Jason
say
Leonard.
We couldn't get the shorts to fit him. No, he's too old. We couldn't get shorts to fit his the old days.
So come and join us. Tickets are available now at ticketpass.org. And Rob will also drop the link as our head of, what are you, Rob? Assistant head of content and social media.
Correct.
There you go.
Also, Camden and Gilbert are offering training balls and support packages worth £1,000. So if your grassroots club wants to get involved, just follow Camden Town Brewery on Instagram and drop them a message.
Right, lads, so we've chatted through the business. If you had to put one signing as the best signing of the season so far, who would you put on it?
Owen Farrell. I'll say it first.
That is a big shout. And I'm not far off agreeing with you there.
Let me give a couple more, just as you lads think about it and give the social media team what they want, right? So for me, you're talking about a proven performer, okay, off the back of a tough year, gets called up by the Lions, does a hell of a job for them, and kind of wants to reignite his career, albeit one of the most experienced players we've seen. And I would say, is he in his prime or just at the back end of his prime? I still think he's got 2 years of unbelievable rugby. And I don't think it's just the player you're getting. You're getting the villain, you're getting the backstory, you're getting the fallout and the comeback to England, you're getting the stories of the British and Irish Lions. There's so much around that man that benefits this season.
James.
And that's off the pitch.
I hear you. Quick question. Are you on the Saracens payroll by any chance with all this positivity around the club?
I am helping the club, so like I am with
go.
Rugby Lions. Like I am with Rugby Lions,
said,
Andrew.
well
I am the
said.
CEO of Rugby Lions, and I am the creative
You told me you don't
advisor.
even like
But-
Faz.
No, he doesn't like me.
Yeah. But you don't. Everything you said then, take your Saracens tinted testicles off, Jim, and everything you said there is 100% true.
Carreras is a great signing, isn't he? For for Bath. And I know maybe Bath maybe he's not what Bath exactly need, but you look at what he's going to add in terms of, it's a little bit like, when Man United were winning the league and were dominant all the time, Fergie always used to say, you strengthen your team when you're winning. And for me, that's what Bath have done. Like, you don't strengthen your team when you're desperate. You strengthen it when you're winning, so you can go on and be dominant. And what he gives you from a goal kicking point of view, if you're having him as your backup 10 to Finn Russell, then you must be in a pretty good place. Ability to play 15. Knows the Premiership inside out, confidence flying from a brilliant sort of rugby championship, speaks the language.
Great way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it, because you think of the other signings, and there's been like Chris Harris, proven performer. He's past his best, he'll be the first to say. But in that position where again, it goes back to that, like the athletes and just how conditioned they are now with Ollie Lawrence, his injury. Cam Redpath gets injured a lot because of the way that he plays. Yes, you're right. Santi Carreras and someone like a Chris Harris, and then also Henry Arundel. I didn't see much of him last year. What was he like last year at Racing?
Yeah, well, he was exceptional going forward. I think they'll be looking to probably target him a little bit, sort of aerially and things, teams in the Prem. But yeah, as you'd expect, a brilliant attacking threat. Scored some really good tries for Racing in a poor team as well, like Racing were last year. So, I just think if Bath had stood still and not gone out and made these luxury signings, it opens the door a little bit. Like you said, Goody, if Finn Russell gets injured, if Ollie Lawrence gets injured again, or it's not quite right and misses the first couple of months, I just think it puts them even further ahead of the rest.
Yeah, the beauty with Carreras is once you get through the Autumn Nation Series,
all year.
He's there all year round. So the impact that Montoya had at Leicester last year as skipper, they don't go off in the Six Nations. I think he's a worldie of a signing for Bath. He was brilliant at Gloucester at times, and it does fill that void. I'm going to throw two other names into the mix. One of them, they both play for the same club, to be fair. Tom Jordan. I've had a man crush on Tom Jordan. I watched him closely a few times last season for Glasgow. Bristol are a team that, I'm going to say it, they still haven't recovered from getting cleaned out a little bit by Quins when they were so far ahead in that semi-final. And with players like Tom Jordan, Lewis Rees-Zammit coming in as well, and the way they finished or played the second half of last season, Bristol did as a whole, I think Tom Jordan is going to be a wicked signing for them. Whether he plays 12 or whether he plays 10, they've obviously got AJ McGinty there as well. But Tom Jordan, he's physical. He's a big human being as well, like a Geordie Barrett kind of big. But I think he's a wonderful player. Ball in hand, footwork, power, speed. And whether he plays 10 or 12, I think he'll be brilliant for Bristol and suits the way they play, having come from Glasgow and seeing what he's done there in a team that plays a similar way, right?
So possibly, lads, the biggest sign of the year, Louis Rees-Zammit, quits the NFL, returns to rugby, signs with Bristol Bears, and we can now chat to him.
It seems like you're a bit panicked, Sam. Is that after the weekend of getting filled in front of the shed? How are you, mate? How was it?
I'm actually very chilled. I'm actually very chilled. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Bit sore actually after the game, but other than that, nice. It's good. I'm excited, and it's good to be back into rugby.
Yeah, well, I love how you skimmed over it, but we were saying before you came on that the young back row, James, had a chance to make a name for himself by flatlining you in front of the shed and then chopping a pint and walking off, and that he dropped the new kind of the new boy on the blocks for Bristol. Do you know him or not? Have you played against this young back row lad who wanted a piece of you?
No, I didn't know him. And then...
Still don't know him.
No, the reason why I was talking to him after, like when we were walking off, is because I heard his Welsh accent. But before that, I didn't know he was Welsh. So that's when I heard his accent and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Zam, what I'm going to do after we finish, you may not have seen this clip, but I'm going to send you a clip of Jim getting sent off against London Irish Jim, was it, at the Majewski, and scrapping on the way off as well.
Yeah,
so.
I've seen that. I've seen that many times, that video.
You do know that every young lad that signs for Gloucester Bigs, that is like the visual that they get. It's like, this is what you need to deliver, bare minimum, when you sign for Gloucester. So... but Sam, I'll just say, mate, because I know that we've done a couple of interactions. I know you're back and forth with Biggs on a few things. For our game of rugby union, it's I was going to swear then, but I can't because we've got younger audience now as well. Mate, it's class to have you back. So it's
thanks.
really cool to see you back on this other side, mate, and doing your thing at Kingsholm. And I know that some of the fans at Kingsholm would have been booing you and whatever, but for the game of rugby union and where it is now, it's wicked to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Well, there were a lot of boos on Friday night, put it that way, and I was getting a lot of hate from the shed. But, it's all part of the game. And, I had an amazing night. I think, that was probably because I started that game. I obviously came off the bench against Sale, but to start, that Gloucester game, it kind of just felt really good and felt like I was really getting back into rugby. And, I had a couple decent clips, a lot of stuff to work on as well. But, there's always going to be a little bit of rust from not playing for 18 months. But, I'm pretty happy with my performance and, really ready to take it in for this Sunday against Leicester.
Yeah, relax against Leicester, pal. Let's be honest. The try you scored was an absolute worldie, and the speed, the power, the outside break, and all that stuff. How good was it to get that? And then equally, how pissed off were you with yourself when you've dropped it over the line or close to the line, just in front of the shed?
Yeah, it was obviously two opposites on it, but yeah, it was good to kind of get the ball in open space. Obviously, Toby gave me that offload, and then it just came down to natural instincts and how I'm going to beat kind of two defenders coming across. And I just tried to stand up the fullback and then take him on the outside. And it all happened pretty quick. But obviously the other one, that was really embarrassing. That's not like me to normally do that. But I was pretty embarrassed when I did drop it, and I heard the shed going "Eeyore," and I was just like, "Why did I have to do that at Kingsholm?"
It could have been worse. You could have I've started against the shed, my first game for Saints, but 3 restarts out on the full, and after the third, all I could hear was the shed saying, "What a waste of money!"
Yeah,
so absolutely
a lot
brilliant.
of money then as well.
Zam, talk us through the decision to, I suppose, going back a little bit. Talk us through the decision to leave the NFL dream behind you and coming back into rugby, because a lot of people will see it as not a failure, but something you'll be disappointed with. But the experience that you had over there and coming back to rugby, just give us a bit of an overview.
It was, looking back, it was a very good 18 months. Like, I learned so much about myself on and off the field. Obviously, it was a difficult task to go over there and try and make it in the NFL as it was, but the learnings I took from it is amazing. I've learned so much about myself, about my body, about how much I have to use my brain. Like, it was very tough, and I came across some amazing people, amazing teammates that I learned from. So overall, obviously I didn't make it, but to the extent that I would have liked to. But it came to a point where I had to make a decision based on how I was feeling. And obviously it was before the preseason games, but I just felt like if I left it any later, like, it would have been coming into kind of week 1 of the season, and I would have been playing real catch up. Whereas I got a good few weeks of preseason at Bristol, and then, I played 2 games since going into Prem week 1. So it's been pretty good timing. But yeah, it was a great experience, one that I've learned so much from, but I kind of miss rugby, and it was getting to me for the past few months, and I was just waiting. I was just waiting for the decision to be made for me, but in the end, I made it for myself, and I was like, I want to come back, and I want to kind of make an impact in rugby again, whether that's on or off the field. So I'm really happy to be back.
I was going to ask Sam, everyone sees the headlines and the draft stuff and all the social media clips and everything, but what was sort of the hardest thing behind the scenes that maybe people didn't see that was the most difficult to crack in America?
There's a few things. Like, obviously the mental side of the game is ultimately that is pretty much the game, just how much you have to learn, and these boys have been doing it since they were young kids. It's a lot harder to make it in the NFL if you don't go through a college system. And as an international player, like, never playing the sport before, it's very tough. But yeah, it was just something that I kind of had to live with, and I gave it my all. As I said, like if you don't go through the college system and you just go straight to the NFL without playing any like American football before, NFL before, it's very hard to make it because you're competing with, I mean, some of the best athletes in the world that have played it their whole lives. So it was tough, but yeah, I gave it a good shot, and I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, mate. I know you'd have given it everything, but for the kind of layman or the person that hasn't seen or doesn't watch too much NFL, it was like a big dream for you, which we knew the story about when you went over there, and we were buzzing for you just to go and give it a crack. But for our listeners, how close did it come? We know you're on the practice squads and you're in that international player pathway, but how close did you get to actually getting onto a match day squad on an NFL game or anything like that? Or did you feel so far away that actually the only choice you had was to try and get back to rugby?
Obviously, I had a load of offers and I went to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think there was definitely opportunity for me to go elsewhere and kind of probably not make it easier, but it would have been different. But at the same time, I don't regret kind of making the decision to join the back-to-back Super Bowl champions and try and compete with literally the best players in the NFL. So, to see how far away you are to play is pretty tough to say, because obviously I did that pre-season, didn't make the 53, and then I joined Jacksonville's practice squad, and then basically all it does is come down to injuries. Like that practice squad is there for if there are injuries for boys to slot in. But also I changed positions, so that was when I joined the Chiefs. I was running back, joined the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was wide receiver, so I was kind of, that year I was pretty much learning a completely different role within the team. So it was pretty hard for me to make a team when I had 3 different coaches and 3 different playbooks in 1 year. So that's no excuse, but I mean, for me, never playing American football before, like it's pretty hard, like learning one playbook under one coach in one position, not all of the stuff I've just said. So it was, as I said earlier, it was a difficult task, but it was one that I tried to give everything, and I kind of fell short on that. But it's, it was a lifelong dream of mine to go and experience that, and I experienced 18 months of it with some of the best athletes in the world. So it's not something that I regret at all. And I've come back to rugby now, and I'm absolutely loving training, loving being back involved with everything that I was used to before, and I'm just ready to rip into it this season.
2 questions from me, Sam. The one, I want a bit of glitz and glam. I want a little bit of what it was like rubbing shoulders with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, 2 of the most famous athletes, NFL players in the world. We obviously had a couple of discussions off camera when we did our walk and talk a while ago, and you just said it was wild hanging around with these guys and what they go through in the profile and the amount of money they spend in the casino.
It's hard to even like talk about it, to be honest. Like, it's so different, like the wages those boys are on and just the different lifestyle they have compared to any of us rugby boys. Like, they pretty much got unlimited money, so they could literally do what they wanted.
Like what? Give us some insight. Like what kind of things are they getting up to, these great athletes?
Well, to be fair, those 2 are so famous that like when I went out with them, they would like, we'd have to go in like a blacked out van. Like we'd have to pull up to the back of the stadiums to go into their private box. Like you'd have to go up the back lift. You wouldn't be able to like walk in front of many people because, they'd have all their security team there, like making sure no one can get near them. We went to a concert, like again, it was pull up to the back. You go up like the back stairs into a box, then you go straight back down the same way. Went to a football game, exactly the same. Like, it's just, I mean, personally, I don't think I'd even want that life. Like, they're so famous in America that they can't even go out. I mean, especially Travis now, like being engaged to Taylor Swift, who's probably might be the most famous woman on this planet. Like, he can't do anything that, we could do. So, like, he wouldn't be able to go to Pontcanna and go to the Pontcanna Inn and have a pint. Like, but like it was just a mad experience.
Sam,
like
these boys don't know what the porn cannerin is.
What's that?
We'll have to educate them another time.
Porn,
Yeah.
What do you call it? Porn what? The porn something? I don't know.
Porn cabin. The porn cabin.
Yeah, it was just like a completely different life. Like I was obviously playing rugby, and I'd have a little bit of fame in Wales, and then you go to hang around with these boys, and the whole of America know who they are, and it's like they can't do anything without either a story being made or like literally not being able to go to somewhere. So it was pretty mad to experience that with obviously the players that you spoke about, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But yeah, that is literally their life, and that's how they have to manage it.
What's their views on rugby, Sam? The World Cup's there in 2031. There's this big kind of movement to try and grow there. You've been there. You've been at the top table. You speaking to these athletes that are doing it. What's the overall view, I suppose, from guys like Pat and Trav? Look at me, Pat and Trav. Yeah, exactly.
Jim, you don't know him. Come on, mate.
Whatever.
You don't know him.
Whatever.
James, come on.
Well, I listen to Trav's podcast, so I feel like I know him.
Yeah.
But what's their views on rugby, Sam?
I mean, they think it's a very hard sport, like physically. Obviously, so their whole thing is like, it's a sport that's very physical, and there's this whole thing about not wearing pads and helmets. So like, I hear so many of the boys, they're like, I would never be able to do it, purely because like they think that, you know, not having pads is a lot harder to tackle, to run into, make challenges. But that also just shows how physical rugby is and how brutal it can be. So, I mean, they obviously found it very interesting. It's just about how we can market the game over there and kind of make it like into a proper sport over there. Because obviously they've got so many big sports. They've got American football, basketball, baseball, like even like they got like lacrosse, and they've got so many different sports that they know how to kind of market and get around America. Like I know those boys would be so interested in rugby if it was kind of promoted out there. And obviously the World Cup's coming there in a few years. I think it definitely there's definitely a market there for rugby to be a big sport over there. It's just about, you know, getting eyes on the game, and how we do that is, I mean, ultimately we just got to have to promote the sport, because it is such a fun sport to watch that, you know, I'm sure so many Americans would really enjoy it.
Sam, how excited you speak about sort of promoting it, and the Prem, I think this year has got a huge opportunity. It feels like there's real positivity about it with big names coming back, yourself, Owen Farrell, you know, Carreras. I know he's in the Premiership, but has come from Gloucester to Bath, Ikitau, Hooper, these guys.
Yeah.
Does it feel like the right time to have come back into the Prem as well, in terms of lots of positivity, lots of big names, and like you said, trying to grow the game, not just on the field? Is that something you're conscious of as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever played in the Prem. So, you know, when I was thinking about my options when coming back, I mean, I loved playing for Gloucester. I loved playing in the Premiership. Like every game's so interesting. Like anyone can beat anyone. It's so competitive. And that was probably my main thing. Like I want to join a league that everyone can beat everyone. And for me, it was who kind of plays the best rugby and where can I fit in and where can I score loads of tries. So obviously I joined a team that scored 94, 95 tries last year. So yeah, that was kind of my decision on kind of league and team. And then off the field, they've obviously rebranded the Prem, which was the Premiership. But yeah, it's really exciting times. Like obviously you've got all these big names joining the Prem as well, which is great. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here for this year and just kind of see what I can do, because, you know, I've been out for 18 months. It was interesting, like obviously going to that Sale game and then going back to Kingsholm, like what I could actually do with a rugby ball. And, you know, I'd like to still think I've got a little bit of my talent I had before. So, yeah, it is exciting time.
Yeah, it's great to see you back. Now, seeing the try at the weekend, it was the old Lewis Rees-Zammit just running around people and having steady wheels. But what's the difference in you sort of physically from going over to the NFL in those 18 months? Because you look like you've bulked up. Your shoulders look. You still got your shoulder pads on from the weekend, or what's happening? Because you look like you.
No,
you look like
they
you've
actually
bulked
got ripped
up.
off by that kid.
That kid, I love it. That kid. Zam's about 18 years of age and he's calling some other lads some kid, but I love that. But what, like, you look like you bulked a bit as well. Is that part of the regime there? And is that something that you're happy to stay at that weight? Because you haven't lost any speed by the looks of it.
Yeah, I know, because I remember I did that interview and I said I put on 10 kilos and I mentioned like a miles per hour. I said 23 miles per hour and my record was like 24. So everyone was like, oh, he's bigger and he's slower. But like, I lost a lot of that weight, like that fat that was on me purely because I wasn't doing any conditioning over there. So I'm back now to probably about 98, 99 kilos, and I'm definitely quicker than I was before. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at the minute. And I've been doing a load of conditioning the past 3 or 4 weeks just to try and get match fit. But yeah, I'm definitely faster, and I've kind of just filled out a bit up top because I used to always have like a little kid's upper body, basically. And all the boys used to let me know about it as well. So I'm glad I've kind of filled out a little bit. But yeah, the programs out there, obviously everyone mentions, like, because they're so big and strong and fast, like everyone mentions like boys do steroids and stuff out there. But genuinely, our programs in the gym, like some days we would have 20 exercises and the gym session would be about an hour and a half. Like, it is non-stop, and we'd be gymming every day. So like, it's obviously that's probably not something you can do in rugby with, you know, how your body feels after a game and how much you have to put yourself through. And you obviously have a day off each in the middle of the week. Like in American football and the NFL, we didn't really have that. So it was a lot of gymming, a lot of short, sharp speed work. So yeah, I'd say the programs out there would just basically get big and strong, because you have to ultimately, like, even if you're a wide receiver, it's not about how fast you can run. Like, you have to block big boys as well. So like, you have to be physically strong enough to do that. So like, the programs were just completely different out there to what we kind of do in rugby. But I guess that's kind of needed for that sport, and what we do is kind of needed for rugby.
Zam, awesome, mate. Well, before you go, we're going to chat about the big game in Wales. And I'm not talking about the Autumn Nation Series. I'm not talking about the Six Nations. I imagine you've been thinking about Wales a lot while you've been away, and it's a story for another day about you. Now, maybe actually give us a couple of lines on playing for Wales, and then we'll get into the big game
English again.
And the big day out.
He wants to be English again. Come back, Zam. Come back to us.
Think about it, right? Think about it. Wales have won one game since Zam's been away. Imagine he comes back. Wales win 3 or 4. All of a sudden,
see out the 5-year wait and say you're English.
I'm actually good on that. I'm not going to do. No, but I know what I've got to do to kind of make it into that team almost. Like, I know I have to perform so well for Bristol. You know, we've got probably about 4 or 5 games before that autumn squad gets picked. So I know I'm going to have to perform very well to get into that team. But, you know, I'm in a team that, you know, we play great rugby and it kind of suits my style. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to the Premiership season. We've had 2 good Prem games. I mean, we obviously lost the first, but it was good to kind of get out there and, you know, my lungs were feeling it a lot, but, you know, just kind of get out there and play a bit of rugby. And then obviously went to Kingsholm and got to play a lot more. But yeah, as I said, 4 or 5 games now. I got to have a really good few games, and hopefully, you know, come selection time, you know, you always want to play for your country. So, you know, that's the thing I want to do. I want to go back, play for Wales, and try and contribute as much as possible.
Jim mentioned it, that big day out in Cardiff, Bristol's big day out against Quins on the 28th of March. You mentioned about growing the game. That's exactly sort of the ideas and the points that you were making, wasn't it? Different sort of stadiums, different arenas, sort of growing the game, taking the game around and making big occasions, big days.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I mean, Bristol did it last year, I think, against Bath, but, you know, so many fans could come to that game, and it's 2 exciting teams. You know, Bristol and Quins is 2 exciting teams that like to play some really good rugby. So, yeah, it's going to be an amazing day. The women are playing as well on the same day, so I think that's going to really grow the game over that side as well. So, I'm really excited to get back into the Premiership season, but I'm really excited for those games as well, to have them at, big stadiums, big iconic stadiums. That's definitely a way that we can kind of grow rugby union.
But before we let you go, Zam, to go and get your free car, just give us the quick one on what sort of, what chips were Travis and Patrick Mahomes chucking in, and what were you chucking in that casino? Give us a comparison.
Me, wow. I think I took out £1,000, and I nearly cried when I lost it. And
and those boys.
I mean, I remember seeing like $7,000 chips going down, and $5,000 to $7,000 chips going down like they were fun coupons. So it was there was definitely a difference between my wages and theirs. Put it that way.
Sounds like Goode in Vegas. Sounds like you in Vegas, mate.
Zam's lost $1,000 and Patrick Mahomes has lost $1 million. That's all we know. That's all we heard from that bit.
It could be close.
Great to have you on, Zam. I want to wish you good luck.
Yeah.
I hope you go exceptionally well from week 2 in the Premiership. I hope you get battered this week by Leicester. But great to see you back, mate. And hopefully you can help Wales rugby and Welsh rugby come out the doldrums, because they need a bit of stardust and they need you back in the team. So go well, buddy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
Top lad.
Top lad.
Top lad.
He is actually. Imagine that's some lifestyle, that, isn't it? And fair play to him for actually putting his hand up and saying, do you know what, I've had a go, but I miss rugby. That's what I took from that he said he missed rugby. Because remember, all the idiots were like, he'll never make it. It's a pipe dream. Hope he doesn't make it. Like, we were positive for him, weren't we? And then he's gone and given it a go, had a good crack, gone to the best team in the NFL, obviously moved to Jacksonville as well. But he's gone and had a crack and realised that he missed rugby too much, which is a great sign for rugby union, I think.
Right, lads, URC.
It's back.
It's back as well. A lot of movement. It is back. And it's great. Big fan of the URC. Loads of positive news coming out of that, isn't there? And I'd say Leinster again. Always going to be a talking point. Let's start with Leinster. Rico Ioane comes in for a not so bad player in Geordie Barrett. But we saw how important Geordie Barrett was to Leinster last season. He was absolutely incredible. It'd be interesting to see how Rico Ioane fits into that system, lads, and whether or not in the big games he starts. I know that some people say it doesn't really matter. He might be on the bench like Geordie Barrett, but that was a big talking point about how Geordie Barrett. It did matter. Okay, yeah. Goody said it. He's happy to say it. I'm just asking the questions.
Well, the interesting thing for Rico Ioane, it's a mega signing, right? A great player, but obviously all the undertones around him and Johnny Sexton. It's how quickly does he win over the Leinster fans? Because there'll be some that are so loyal to Johnny Sexton and what happened between Rico Ioane and all that stuff at the World Cup and whatever. And I heard it was a bit of a 2 fingers up to Johnny Sexton signing from someone high up at Leinster as to why they signed Rico Ioane. But that's just me stirring a little bit of the pot.
But on that bit specifically, Goody, Biggs, you know Johnny better than me and Goody. Goody's been on holiday in the swimming pool with him a couple of times. I've been out and smashed with his brother Jerry a few times. You tell us, how would he let his ego take over there, being a Leinster legend? Is that beef real? Maybe give us a bit of insight into that.
I don't think Johnny. I think Johnny will want Leinster to be successful. I don't think Johnny. I think enough time has passed now. I think if he'd signed maybe straight after the World Cup, you may have had a little bit of a reaction from Johnny. But you look at the big fuss that was made around Johnny and Finn at the start, before the start of the Lions, and it was a big thing, wasn't it? After the book and the opinions on Finn, and everyone thought it was going to be a big thing, and they weren't going to get on, but ended up coming out being really complimentary of each other and things like that. And I think it's a huge signing, but I just think Johnny's not going to be that bothered about it.
Johnny ain't there, is he? He's not at Leinster, so he's going to have no impact.
Also, it's almost like he hasn't. It's not Johnny's place anymore to have a say on it now. Do you know what I mean? Life moves on. Rugby doesn't stand still for long, and to the point you made at the start, it's like if all of a sudden if he's churning out performances like he does for the All Blacks and winning man of the match and player of the match and scoring tries and setting up tries, it's like football, isn't it? It's like you score a few goals for your team and everything gets forgotten, and he's going to win the crowd pretty early on with that. So I'd say it's not. I wouldn't say it's much of an issue in that sense. No.
I wonder how the Leinster fans and the Ireland fans will react to it. And we want these stories, right? We want to build this up, but I wonder how we'd be received, because Geordie Barrett came in and everyone loved him, but with Rico and everything that went around that, and we saw it play out on social media, and it was great. And there was nothing in it that kind of I felt was negative.
I'd imagine he'd probably have a couple of hostile receptions when he goes to Thomond Park and to Connaught and to Ulster and things. I'd imagine he'll have a warm welcome in those places. But
he loves it though, doesn't he? He loves that. You see, he thrives on that, and he gets it, and I think he wants it.
That's the thing. Don't forget, he led the haka, didn't he, in Dublin last year on that Friday night game, and they kind of did that to say, you know what, he's our guy.
And he put the Instagram post up as well, didn't he, afterwards and things, you know. So he'll love that theatre. And again, you made the point earlier, Jim, that's what rugby needs. It needs storylines, it needs headlines, it needs the cameras on Leinster's first home game or when they go to Thomond Park or whatever. It needs the cameras focused on these mega stars with a big story around it to grow the game, to get more eyeballs on it and more stories. So only a positive signing from me.
Ulster. And I know we've got a friend of the show, Stevie Ferris, been going back and forth with him on voice notes. I think to the core of him, he wants Ulster to do well. Yeah. And we've always said on here, they're a hard team to work out. Big changeover of coaches and players. There's a disconnection between them and Ireland, so Northern Ireland and Ireland, not getting political, but there feels like there is. Big signings as well, like Angus Bell, who's Australian, Lou said, brilliant physical player, but Joano Augustus, who carved it for Northampton, I don't think Northampton should have let him go, but that means that Ulster are investing, and they've always had big eights, haven't they? They've had like Dwayne Vermeulen being the headline one.
Coetzee was there, wasn't he?
In years, and Marcelo Coetzee was wicked for them as well, but I mean, eyes are on Ulster now because they've got such a good fan base over in Belfast. I've got a thing for Ulster. I don't know what it is, but when you're competing against Leinster, Munster have had some decent signings, Connaught with Stuart Lancaster, but yeah, just a shout out to them two signings for Ulster.
Yeah, and you mentioned Munster as well. Clayton McMillan taking charge of Munster, moving over from the Chiefs in New Zealand, where they've made the last 3 Super Rugby finals. And he had over a 70% win record with the Chiefs, is no mean feat. So, and I saw your mate Biggs.
Thank you. He is. Please say, because I was about to say it, but I'll let you say it. I ain't happy. Wiggsvilly's getting absolutely rich. Go on,
Conor Murray has gone after Wiggsvilly, and I've reading between the lines, basically, and it happens to every player at some point in their career. You hold a bit of a grudge against a coach because they have to look past you, and as you're coming to the end of your career, basically not offer you a fucking contract and move you on. And there's no loyalty, there's no kind of romance in doing that. It's the toughest thing in the world. And Conor Murray's come out and has just rinsed Wiggsvilly, Graham O'Rowntree, and hung him out to dry in his book.
Right,
I ain't having it. Yeah. He won the URC for you boys. You don't disrespect him like that. Go on then, Biggs, you
defend him, and I'm going to come back and defend our Wiggsvilly. Go.
I wasn't so much going to defend him. I was just going to say the best coaches are the ones that pick you generally, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The best ones are the ones that pick you. So you're not going to have too many complimentary things to say about the people who thought you were shite, basically.
I hope there's more, and I'm sure that there is in Conor Murray's books. It's surprised he didn't want to come on to the biggest rugby pod, but I know he did something with you last year, Biggs. But let's get him in the studio and call him out. But it is like, I just hope for Conor Murray, because he was a world-class player, right? Yeah. And he had a stellar career. And they want to make headlines, right? And my nose was naturally out of joint because I love Graham Rowntree. Okay, everything that he stood for. Yeah, he's old school or whatever, but he gave his heart and soul to that team.
And a trophy.
Everything that he...
And a trophy.
Let's not forget that. And the book and the headline of the stuff with everything that Conor Murray could have spoken about, and maybe there weren't enough drama in his life, was the stuff around Graham O'Rowntree, who is no longer Graham O'Rowntree. He is Graham Wiggsvilly, or I don't know what Japanese. Graham San. Graham San. He is now Graham San because he's coaching in Japan. And for me, I just saw it and I was like, but that's my emotional connection. So I hope Munster get absolutely fucking smoked this year.
None of us. Nobody reading about. Nobody knows what went on behind. I'm not saying positively or negatively, or on Graham's side or Conor's side. No one knows what goes on behind closed doors, or when you close a door and you have a meeting with a coach, or what gets said and things like that.
I know a few bits, Daniel. I know a few bits.
But on that, Biggs, and you know this. I know we are segueing slightly, and I've been in clubs like that where players that are like the furniture, and this is with all due respect, some vintage furniture, some great furniture, but ones that have been there for their whole career have bigger voices. Of course they do. And they are making decisions that they aren't always qualified to do. And it's based on, well, I've been here for 15, 20 years, so I should be making this decision. And again, he's my Graham O'Rowntree. So he's, I'm not happy.
Also, talking about coaches, and Connacht have been a team that won it under Pat Lam many years ago, and then it's been like that up and down team. But Stuart Lancaster and Connacht seems like a great fit. They spanked, I think, Sale in pre-season, but you're hearing good noises around the impact that Stuart Lancaster's having there. He hasn't got many big-name players. Yes, he'll get Bundy Aki back at some point. After the Lions, but he is a coach that can gel and can upskill younger, less experienced players. So that's where he can have a big impact. So I think Connacht will be a lot better this year as well. So looking forward to seeing how they develop.
Speaking of Stuart Lancaster, his son Dan has signed for Glasgow this year, coming into the URC.
Yeah, Rockeye the new. So with Dan Lancaster, he was playing ahead of Faz at Racing, and maybe because that was Faz had a turning circle of a snail, so Jackie didn't like him, but he felt like it was fraudulent. That's what Jackie said in the paper. But yeah, so I know that's what he said, which is crazy. But Dan Lancaster, again, Biggs, I'm coming to you, mate, because you played in the top 14 and were bit in that 10 circle. Decent signing, because we're at 10 for Glasgow. The great Dunky Weir, good mates of him, was at Lewis Capaldi with him last week. Legend of a lad. But with Adam Hastings as well, whose injury profile isn't great, someone like Dan Lancaster, can he give Glasgow a decent shot, do you think? Yeah,
do you know what? And I think it's almost your clubs and your teams are you're almost judged on what your second choices are like, and in terms of Hastings will probably be your starting guy and things like that. But Dan Lancaster, actually, he went okay in the top 14. Is he going to set the world alight? No. Is he going to be nice and steady and kick a few goals and be a good number two? And it's also one thing I've found over the course of my career is, and you guys may be able to resonate with this, is it is so hard to find people who want to be number two or number three. You try signing a player and you say, you come into us and you're being number two or you're being number three.
Mate, Jim was happy at Saracens on half a bar a year, weren't you, Jim?
Yeah, I was happy. Yeah, I was basically undervalued but overpaid. I was happy with that.
But you know what I mean? It's so difficult to say, let's have this conversation. You're coming to us, but you're going to be second choice or you're going to be third choice. But as a squad, week in, week out, you need players who aren't going to be aiming for the stars and being your top end internationals. You need players who are just going to sit in that squad, play when the internationals are away, or play when there's injuries, or play when you're required, and just not be unhappy with that. And I think those are the players, and I'm not saying Dan Lancaster is the absolute top of that list, by the way, but you do need those players in a squad who are just going to go about their business day to day, happy to fill in, because the season's so long these days, and you need people like that with the international. So I think it's a good signing to know that he's coming in as a second, third choice who can play 10, 12.
Cool. A couple more notes on the two Scottish teams, Andrew, and then I'll let you take the heartbeat of Wales before we pass it on to Biggs as well. And look at...
Biggs can do the Welsh, mate, not a Scooby.
Yeah, but Tavi Muktuapolotu, maybe, brother of Sione Muktuapolotu and Mosisi at Edinburgh as well. So they brought another one over who hopefully will be Scottish as well. But so fingers crossed for him. And also to Franco Smith, big shout out. He's re-signed with Glasgow. Massive to keep a coach of that quality. I'm sure he would have been inundated with international offers, international teams as well as international club teams looking to get him as well. So that's good, pal. And big shout out to Magnus Bradbury, captain of Edinburgh. May as well give them a shout out. Quite a settled squad. Not much happening, not much drama.
You talk about Wales, Jim. Big news out today. Matt Sherratt, the amount of times he's teased us and talked to us, I don't want the job, I do want the job.
I ain't fucking leaving.
I just want to stay at Cardiff because I'm happy. I've had my teeth done. I'm really happy at Cardiff. We had a good year last year. I'm going to build... Oh, no. An extra zero on the contract. He is under Steve Tandy now, down in Wales. So he has left Cardiff as the head coach about 5 days before their first game, which is great news for Welsh rugby because he is a brilliant coach. He's a great guy as well. But to me, it's obviously tough on Cardiff 5 days out from the first day of the season.
Tough.
I mean, it's Welsh rugby, mate. It's Welsh rugby, they're fucked.
But you have to say it how it is. Great for Wales. Go on, Biggs.
I think. Look, I think he's obviously been the preferred guy that the union have wanted to get in for a while now, 2 or 3 campaigns, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of goes hand in hand with everything at the minute. It's all helter skelter. It's all sort of lastminute.com, and it just feels like it's a bit of a mess, doesn't it? Well, I mean, not feels like it is. It is a mess at the minute, and it's sort of yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in Welsh rugby at the start of for the teams, for the unions, etc. It really is sort of up in the air, isn't it? So, but yeah, Cardiff have made a couple of good signings: Tame Basham, Yohan Lloyd, moving from the Dragons and the Scarlets. So yeah, look, who knows? It is really up in the air. I find it quite difficult to preview a lot with all the Welsh stuff because you just don't know where it's at, who's going to be there, who's going to be still employed, etc.
Hang about, Biggs. You're on the board, aren't you? That's what I was going to ask you.
I'm not on the board, Andrew. I'm not like you. I'm not like you two at rugby.
Is it this kind of scenario? Whoever finishes in the top 2 this year in the Welsh Shield gets to stay, and whoever else doesn't basically
winner
goes.
stays on.
Now that would be an interesting product. That would be an interesting product, but I don't think that would be the case. I think they'll look at all the different factors in terms of owning their ground.
What do you know?
I tell you now that the Drags ain't going to be up there the fourth thing. So, yeah. Sorry, Biggs. Who owns their ground? Who owns what? Who knows?
Yeah. Well. Let's see. Let's see how we go. Is it? I don't think we're in any position. Any of us are in a position to maybe comment on it much further.
Well, Biggs, we will see, because we're going to get to watch it all this season, and you can as well, because you can watch all the URC and Champions Cup rugby this year on Premier Sports. And we've partnered with them for the up-and-coming season, Andrew, because that's what we do.
Yeah, we have. You can get your first month absolutely free. The offer is available to Sky and Premier Player customers only, which means you can get all Premier Sports top content, including every URC game, every Investec Champions Cup game, 4 live games from the top 14, every round, La Liga, Scottish football, and loads more. Basically, great value for money. So just use the code RugbyPod when signing up. The offer ends on the 31st of October, so you haven't got long. Get on this today so you can watch the first round of the URC this weekend. And what match are you most looking forward to this weekend, James?
I'm going to pick a random one, Andrew. I'm going to go for the Scarlets, who I still see as Llethley, versus Munster, because I want to see if Munster are any good without Graham Rowntree. Scarlets fighting for their lives. Like I just mentioned there, finished 8th last season, highest finish for the regions that they've had in a long time. Joe Hawkins arrives from Exeter, talented young centre who we were chatting to when we were down there as well. And also, like we just mentioned there, he keeps denying it because he's on the Chamage. But Biggs, you're also heavily invested in this team.
Yeah, I mean, just chuck it out there. Someone will pick it up anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a belting weekend on Premier Sports. I'm going to be at Glasgow against the Sharks. But the Sharks have just announced they've got 28 players not going because they're all playing for South Africa or wherever. So it's going to be an interesting start to the season. Stormers Leinster, that's a big one, isn't it? Down in Cape Town, with the fact that Leinster will have a load of players missing as well. So that's how the start of the season is going to go because of the British and Irish Lions. But it's going to make for some entertaining rugby.
Speaking of South Africans, there's a lot of South Africans going home, isn't there, this year?
Yeah, in line with the World Cup in a couple of years' time. So they're going back to South Africa to be looked after. We've got Andre Pollard back to the Bulls after 6 years away. Cobus Reinach going back to the Stormers. Johan Ackerman, head coach now of the Bulls, replacing Jake White. So it's interesting just how things pan out a couple of years out from a World Cup. A lot of players going back to where they know so they can get some consistency, get looked after, and then get ready to try and win a third World Cup on the spin.
I was going to say, Goode, they need all that. They're really struggling at the minute. The box, aren't they? So they need all the help they can get at the minute.
They just need to look after their players a bit better, because if they're all playing around Europe or in the Prem or in the top 14, they are going to be playing week in, week out, and that's not what they want in a couple of years' time, eh? But
we've been saying this for, how many years have we been saying this for? It just seems to work for them, whether they're in Japan or France or England or South Africa. It kind of just, they've almost just shrugged their shoulders and ripped up the playbook and how it's supposed to be done. And fair play to them. I think they've made everyone stand up and think, well, maybe there is something in terms of letting players play away and things like that. But I'm sure they're in a fairly strong position, I'd say, South African rugby currently.
Right, lads, shoot from the hip. What we've learned about the squad arrivals, departures, new coaching teams, who gets to the Prem final this year?
Sarri's Bath.
Oh,
Yeah, that was where I was going to go, James.
You got to shoot from the hip, go, mate. Literally, get it out, go. Like, don't just front of the mind, and that you can't say biscuits. Okay, just go.
Bath Sarries.
Bath Sarries, yeah. I think that's two stronger squads. Yeah, I'm with that.
and what about the URC?
Leinster.
Stormers.
Leinster Bulls.
Oh, I was going to say Stormers.
Say it, James.
Glasgow.
Oh, they're not going to be happy with you in Edinburgh, Jim.
No, I'm not. No, I know. I've got to speak on it. Leinster Stormers. That's what I was going to say. So if there was, I was whipping the gun out, but I just second guessed myself. I don't know why. So we said we're pumped for the season to start. It's all been quiet on the Western Front, but we are heading west, talking of that. We are in Chicago for a live show and New York at the end of next month, the next month being October, and it's ahead of the Ireland versus the All Blacks match over there. We have already confirmed two great guests. Geordie Murphy, friend of the show, who played in that iconic game a few years ago, and Bernard Jackman, who is friend of the show. They're going to be with us in Chicago. So get on Eventbrite to grab tickets. Doesn't need us to say it'll be class. The New York one is nearly, if not already sold out, but keep checking. And the Chicago, there's a few tickets left. So Rob will put the link up also in the episode description.
Nice, mate. Mate, should we finish things off with the good, the bad and the ugly?
Yes, I'm excited. Is this sponsored by maulandbrawl.com, James? Are you back in business?
No, it's not. No, we will be back in business soon. We are back in business before it all goes off. So,
well, one day we'll be sponsored by maulandbrawl.com again, but we'll say it is anyway. The Goode, few bits of Goode. We're going to start off, Biggs. You might like this. Welsh rugby, get a shout in the Goode. Some positive. Bad news for Cardiff, but great news for Welsh rugby in general, that the coaching ticket seems to be all sorted and sewn up with Matt Sherratt going as the attack coach. So big shout out to the Welsh Rugby Union for sorting something. Only two teams though at some point. Fiji get a shout in the Goode. They won the Pacific Nations Cup on Sunday, beating Japan 33-27 in Salt Lake City. So big shout out to the Fijians. Over in France, Montpellier hosed Toulouse 44 points to 14 in the top 14. Toulouse don't take many hammerings. They had a strong team out as well. So big shout out to Montpellier. Lyon beat Stade Francais as well at home, 42-37 to go. Played 3-1-3 in the top 14 and sit top of the log. So big shout out to Lyon. Henry Slade gets a shout out this week, lads. Bringing back the gloves. Did you see the gloves? Oh, he had one glove on.
Your name got brought up and he pied it straight away and he went Steve Maffey. When you see a glove, no one thinks Steve Maffey unless they do not want to be associated with Andrew Goode.
Anyway, Henry Slade gets a big shout out for bringing back the gloves. He knows he's Andy Goode deep down. What else was good, or what else is good? The Prem and the URC are back this week, which is great news. Liam Williams, some good news for Newcastle Red Bulls. Rob, you'll be happy. Liam Williams is signed, sealed, delivered. He's in the building for the Newcastle Red Bulls. He ain't going to touch the ball apart from kick receipts, and he's going to realise that it's minus 15 up there in October. So big signing for Newcastle, so I'm delighted for them. But the Goode this week goes to my old club, Worcester Warriors. They are back. They played their first game since their rebirth, and it's been about 3 years since their last game in a friendly against Bath at a packed-out six-way stadium. They're actually winning 40.
And they won?
No, they didn't win, James.
Oh, they didn't win?
They were winning at half-time, 14-12, but ended up losing the game 33-19. But great to see Worcester Warriors back. They're going into the championship, and there's a lot of love for the club. A lot of fans turned out to support them, and they've put together a decent squad. So apart from the fact there's probably no relegation for another 5 years in the Prem because they're trying to ring fence it, I think it's brilliant that we're going to see Worcester Warriors back in the Championship and hopefully in a few years' time back in the Prem.
Yeah, that's cool to see.
The bad, few bits of bad. Quins and Saracens get a shout in the bad this week. Played 2, lost 2 in the Prem Cup. I know it's only pre-season, but as you said, Jim, they might struggle. We've talked Saracens up, but Quins might struggle. So they've played 2, lost 2 in the Prem Cup. But the bad this week, I get to say this because they've been ridiculously good for a few years. But Toulouse are going to get the bad this week for getting absolutely hosed and taking 44 points down at Montpellier. My old coach, Hugo Moller, said he told the players, but they did not listen. So classic French, if in doubt, blame the players. The players did not listen. They are shit. That is what he said. So Toulouse getting hammered, and that's why they win the bad this week. And then finally, the ugly. Only one bit of ugly I could find. And it is back to the Perpignan fans over in the top 14. Some of them were throwing beer at the players from Racing.
What a waste.
Yeah, a bit of a scuffle. And some of the fans on the side have just chucked beer onto some of the Racing boys. So it's not their first sort of dalliance with bad behaviour at a game. The riot police had to come out when they beat Grenoble in the access match last year. So basically, Perpignan fans, don't waste your beer and don't throw it on rugby players. And that is why you win the ugly this week.
Couple of shout-outs to finish, lads.
A shout out to Nottingham. Pavers, third team, the big one, the Horns. They had a big win at Mansfield with an epic picture of the captain, Billy face first in the mud. See, they played when it was biblical.
Yeah.
You know, like they just got on with it because Captain Big Billy banter was face down in the mud.
Yeah, exactly.
So well done to you, lads.
Here's an international shout out as well to the Southside Irish RFC in Chicago, also known as Chicago for Jim Hamilton, as they celebrate their 50th anniversary this weekend. Lads, celebrate your 50th anniversary. Get yourself some tickets to the live show on the 30th of October in Chicago, and we'll see you there, and I'll definitely chop a pint of Guinness and Black with you.
Okay, shout out for Strathendrick RFC. They need to shout out because they won the league unbeaten last year and currently sit atop of their new league after winning 4 from 4.
Strathendrick in Scotland.
Salary cap. That's all I'm saying.
Biggs,
That's
you've
all
got
I'm saying.
Strathendrick.
Hey, there you go.
There we
that
are.
was you're rolling the R's and cutting the T's. Yeah, but this is a good news one. Old Haileybury exiles sound very posh. And like a phoenix from the ashes, they're back. They're reformed. Oh, remember we gave them a shout out last year, actually. We are just influential, Rob. Tell me as head of content, you remember that we did this. We saved them. Effectively, we've saved another rugby club. So great news for everyone involved. It's not about us, it's about you. So good on you, Old Haileybury exiles.
Good stuff. And finally, a shout out to former winger, now turned prop, Joe Willis. Wow, a winger to prop. I think I could still do that. He played his first game in 8 years for Seaton Carew last Saturday. So well done, Joe. Get in there and, mate, just enjoy the scrums. You used to run, now you scrum.
Cheers, boys.
There we go. Week 2 done and dusted. Looking forward to the Prem and URC action starting this week. Enjoy your week, lads. And Jim, I look forward to hearing about Newcastle, the night out, and how Rob behaves in the South Stand.
But hang on, Andrew. You are in Glasgow, though. So you're going back there. They don't mind you in Glasgow. You've given back. You've put back into the funding pot of the local community and gymnastics establishments. You're a good man.
I've invested a lot, and I'll be going back again this Friday. So we'll see you there. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, boys.
Rugby Spot.
Spotty pod.